Good morning and welcome to another episode of Positive Vibes, making positivity and gratitude louder in a podcast world with myself, Shane Nikolic. And it's um, I'm just waiting for my guest to come on here. She's on the other side of the world, so there's a bit of lag here, but yeah, at any rate, um, yeah, my guest today, um, should she show up, or I'm hoping she shows up very soon. Her name is Lilly Badcock. She's a she's an empowerment coach in Salisbury in the United Kingdom, over on the other side of the pond. And I'm yeah, just a second here. Let me. I'm just going to contact her real quick if I can. Just a moment, bear with me while I take care of this here. Um, Sorry about this. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just had to, I sent her a message and we will find out soon. Um, hopefully she'll come back and let me know. Maybe something came up. Yeah, sorry about this. Caught me sort of unprepared or what have you. Um, yeah, I'm just uh, starting to, I'm having to wing it here for a moment. Um, yeah, this is this. I had something I was gonna say. Um, actually, yeah, right here. I'm gravitated toward. I'm reading out of my book here. Live a passionate life, quit settling for survival. Um, and it just happened. It opened to this one page, and yeah, it just stuck out to me. Um, if I forget the context of what when I said this, it was after I was diagnosed. I'll just start here. Um, After I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, um, after I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I decided that I may as well begin to be an active participant in the maintenance of my health. I have always more or less been conscious of healthy slash unhealthy items and or activities in my life. However, this awareness has multiplied since I was told I now have an incurable disease, multiple sclerosis. For starters, in my research about MS, I have found that some people not only live long, productive lives with the disease, but some people have gone on to fulfill their dreams of becoming singers, actors, dancers, painters, authors, or whatever their dream or goal might entail. It struck me that since my immune system is now compromised by MS, it would probably behoove me to quit smoking and make sure that I take in food that is good for me and limit or cut out junk food. I don't follow a set diet, but I do I I do now. I didn't when this was written, but I do now. As you can probably tell from what I said earlier about my eating habits. If anything, I adhere to a seafood diet. I see food and I eat it. Though I, though I throw a lot more fruits and vegetables into the mix these days and have eliminated a lot of fattening foods. Um, I've stopped drinking soda pop and rarely eat fast food anymore, which, of course, with the best bed diet that I'm on now, I don't eat fast food at all. And I eat a lot healthier. I eat clean. Um, let's see. For example, on my way home from work, I may stop at the store and pick up the makings for a salad. Um, skipping. Um, my way of thinking is that I can remain reasonably healthy and mobile so long as I keep on putting the good stuff into my body and quit putting in the bad stuff. I figure that if I fill myself up with bad stuff, I'll be negative and emit negative vibes. On the other side of the coin, if I fill myself with good stuff, I'll be positive and emit positive vibes. I wish that I would have had this surge of ambition earlier in life, but it is what it is. I am now motivated to move forward and become whatever my full potential shall turn out to be. I have always been motivated to be greater than my circumstances would have me be. My problem has always been that I have gotten distracted. There are distractions along every path. Suppose I am going to the store to buy laundry detergent so I can wash an outfit that I want to wear to a special event on the same night. On my way to the store, I am distracted by a vehicle parked on the shoulder of the road where the driver is obviously having trouble removing their flat tire. I stop and assist the fellow traveler, taking off the flat tire and putting on their spare. This distraction puts me way behind schedule so that there is not enough time to get to the store and back home to wash and dry a load of clothes with enough time to get to my special event. That may have been a weak example. Here is another. My wife is telling me that she'll be home late from work because she is going to stop at the store to do something, so she has goodies for, do some shopping, so she has goodies for lunch the next day. While I'm listening to her talk on the phone, I am attempting to continue playing a game on the computer. She ends the phone call when she goes into the store to begin shopping. When she gets home, I get upset with her for being so late. If I don't allow myself to be distracted by my activity on the computer and simply pause my game and step away while I'm on the phone, I could avoid getting upset and possibly carrying that negative vibe throughout the evening. These are minor disturbances by distractions when compared to the power that distraction ultimately holds. The world we live in today seems to be driven to stay connected to others by email, texting, and social media. Cell phones have become miniature computers that people can carry with them everywhere they go, with the express purpose that they can stay connected to the world at all times. um, I admit it. I have fallen prey to the cell phone distraction, jumping at every notification just to see who needs my attention right now. Right now, as it turns out, though, I am a dishwasher at a restaurant. I do not make money online. But like I said, this I wrote this book 4 years ago. That's why I knew when to update it, or or just write a new edition. Um, but at any rate, so far as email and social media, I have a love-hate relationship with them. At times, I find myself getting lost in my timeline on Facebook or Instagram, being a voyeur of everyone else's agendas and not being an active participant in my own life. I got curious and found online that the average American adult spends 5 hours of each day on their smartphone. Like I said, these stats probably 4 years old now and need to be updated. Um, over the course of 1 year, that adds up to 76 days of a person's time being lost to their smartphone. 76 days, unless my job requires me to have constant access to emails and or social media. I have no real need to spend 2.5 months of every year lost in cyberspace. Imagine what productive things could be done with that time. Imagine the relationships that could be built or simply improved. Imagine the vacations you could go on. Think about the positive things that could be done in your life instead of playing games, reading emails, watching videos, browsing the internet, listening to music, etc. Those things may seem like they are meaningful at the time, but in the end, we have to ask ourselves if they are helping us to move forward or keeping us in a stagnant state. What we need to ask ourselves if what we need to ask ourselves if what we are currently doing on our smartphone is helping us to progress from where we are to where we want to be. Sometimes, of course, we are playing a game or watching a video as a form of entertainment or as a way to relax at the end of a stressful day. Maybe we are listening to some upbeat music to help us get energized. Maybe we are watching a video of a motivational speaker to help get ourselves going in a positive direction for the day. What we need to practice is limiting these activities to just a couple times a day, checking our phone briefly and setting it back down. Keep these distractions to a minimum. This will be much better for us over the long run than wasting away our lives on our smartphone. Try it. We can pick up our phone and see if there's anything we need to respond to immediately. If there's not, we can simply put down our phone and carry on with what we were doing before we were distracted. We will get so much more done and feel so much better without so much distraction from our smartphones. Computers, laptops, and tablets rate right up there with smartphones as tools for productivity and its distraction. I may feel like being engulfed in I may feel like being engulfed in at the moment. Mm, Oh, I skipped a couple lines. The book you are reading right now is a prime example. This book. I typed this on my tablet. If I so choose, I could download whatever kind of distractions I may feel like being engulfed in at the moment. I have that option, but right now I choose to be productive and work on my book. I have a goal of writing this book, so I told myself to limit my distractions and focus on what I need to do in order to reach my goal. Some days I may only type 4 or 5 lines. Other days I may turn out a couple of pages. I do some work on it every day though. I will finish my book sooner with fewer distractions. I still get distracted. Distractions are everywhere. However, I work at not letting myself get too far off of the path I'm ultimately traveling down. My point is that we can get a lot more positive, productive work done if we do not allow ourselves to be consumed by distractions. Before my traumatic brain injury, I was into academics and I loved going to school and learning. I remember one morning when I was in first grade that my stepmom said I should stay home from school because I had a fever and my sinuses were all stuffed up. I had been really looking forward to going to school that day to see my classmates and learn stuff. After my stepmom went back to bed, I proceeded to get up and quietly get ready for school, despite her urging me to stay home since I seemed to be coming down with a cold. I snuck out of the house and went to school. My symptoms must not have been that bad because nobody at school said anything about me being sick. My stepmom did call the school and find out I was there, after she awoke to find that I was no longer lying on the couch bundled in blankets where she had left me when she went back to bed. I wanted to be with my friends at school, but more so, I wanted to be at school to learn. Um, Reading and learning have always played a part of my life. I can remember reading the Seattle Times right alongside my grandpa when I was like 3 years old. I was living with him at the time, and you know get up on I'd be up on Sunday mornings and reading the newspaper with my grandpa. Let's see. I read The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien by the time I was 4, as I was interested in the story after watching a cartoon movie about it. I remember a set of books that my parents bought for me when I was 6 or 7. It was a set of classic books, including The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and Gulliver's Travels. There were, a few of them, but those are some examples. And I forget the other titles that were part of that set. I read that set of books and many more as a child. I used to love reading books of the choose your own adventure style. I would get so lost in books, especially fiction, as I would get so charged up as my imagination would be constantly firing off as it created in my mind the story I was reading in the book. I have always loved learning new things about the world and its history, but that love is dwarfed by the charge of my imagination when it is fired off and creating a world of its own, even if the visions of that world are sparked by the words in a book. In this book, I am not necessarily trying to create fantastical worlds of fiction, as in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. If your dream or passion is to work with fictional fantasy in the movies or to write a book about it, then by all means do that. I am simply intending to create thoughts or images which will inspire and or motivate others to move toward their full potential. I have also looked to make people laugh and smile. I cannot see myself doing well as a stand-up comedian though. They would probably make me sit down, at which point they would not be laughing with me, but at me. Um, all joking aside though, if I can help bring a smile to one person's face by telling my story and the tools I have used to be able to carry on despite the obstacles that I've had to surpass, and help them to carry on by my doing so, then I have done my good deed for the day, and anything after that is a bonus. If I can write a book which has the potential to bring smiles and laughter to multitudes of faces, then why not do it? It takes some work on your part, but I will show you the tools that have helped me become the person that I am. Are you ready? If your answer was yes, keep reading. If you answered was no, keep reading because what I have to say just may benefit you too. Up to this point, I've given you a brief overview of what I am all about, simply to let you know that I have been knocked down many times and have been granted just as many opportunities to get back up again. You can also take advantage of these opportunities, for they are always available to those that seek them. Looking back at the lives we have lived up to this point in time, we can honestly say that if we can, or can we honestly say that we have given everything we had, or did we simply put out just enough energy and effort to get us through the current day or the current situation? I have asked myself that question, and I can say that at various times in my life, I have exerted, maybe even overexerted myself. The problem has been that I did not sustain that exertion. I neglected to continue doing whatever it was that got me to a certain point where everything seemed to be going so well, whether it whether it be eating well or doing a particular activity. Our bodies are the vehicles that are going to take us all the way through life. We cannot simply go trade them in like we would a used car. We need to take care of them as well as we can so they will last as long as possible. Today in my life, I eat foods that are good for my body instead of just eating comfort foods such as pizza and macaroni and cheese all the time, like I used to do. Um, I have cut down considerably on my intake of sugar, and it's like I barely take any anymore. Um, I actually surprised myself and did not touch any candy on Halloween this year. Um, that's been for a few years now. I am grateful that I no longer have that insatiable appetite for candy and sugar. I still put sugar in my coffee, and actually, this is not true since I quit all that. Um, I no longer smoke cigarettes, and I feel so much better now. Not only can I breathe easier, but my senses of taste and smell have come back to me as well. Plus, my energy level is through the roof of the tiny cell that it was previously confined in. And of course, as you know, I run every day now, so that's never any run streaks. My energy level is definitely through the roof. I take vitamins on a daily basis. I used to only take vitamins sporadically, in spurts, and sort of when I thought I might be getting sick, I'd start taking a bunch of vitamins and hope that I wouldn't get sick. Um, I would get a bottle of vitamins, and when those are gone, it would be an indefinite amount of time until I got more. Nowadays, I do make a concerted effort to be as healthy as I can be, despite having multiple sclerosis. The way I see it, I may have an incurable disease, but I can still do things that will help me to remain able to live a life that I look forward to living. I want to be able to look forward to whatever challenges tomorrow may bring. So I have to put forth the effort to make sure my body is fit to transport me through today and into tomorrow. Um, I'm going to stop there real quick and interject this. I saw a meme on Instagram um, from on the Our Lives with MS page on Instagram. The meme said, see if I get this right. O is for opportunity. It is absent in yesterday, or it is absent from yesterday. It is present in today, or it shows up once in today and thrice, or it's available 3 times in tomorrow. So don't lose hope. I suffered from depression for years, most of which went undiagnosed as I was self-medicating with alcohol and drugs. I took antidepressants for a time and then through an immense amount of exercise and physical conditioning, broke through the depression to find happiness. Mm. Um, yeah, broke through the depression to find happiness. I have found that through eating right and exercising on a daily basis, I am a more balanced person. Even my mood is more balanced. It is said that clinical depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in the body. Whether it is chemical or not, there is obviously an imbalance of some kind. For me, this imbalance was righted by keeping a watchful eye on what I put into my body and watching my body's output, so far as exercise and the elimination of anything my body does not need in order to keep moving. As a result of being intently conscious of how I am treating my body, I have become a much happier person than I used to be. Today is a new day. I know that you are possibly thinking, well, duh, man, of course it is a new day. Think about it though. Are you really treating it like a new, potentially positive and life-changing day? Or are you still packing around negative thoughts and emotions from yesterday? A lot of my days have turned out to be negative days simply because I was packing around negative points of my past. I was still carrying around the disappointments, fears, losses, guilt, regrets, and all of the other negativities of the past. This left no room. This left no room for progress, no room for growth, no room for true progress, no room for growth. As we have heard time and again, out with the old and in with the new. Sometimes it may not be as easy as it sounds. Rather than simply ushering out the old and ushering in the new, there are a bunch of potholes and boulders in the way, being the negativity that is still there and choking up the path. In order to move forward in a positive, progressive way, we must clear the path for our journey to begin with a fresh attitude, unaltered by yesterday's defects. Unless we were severely hurt, such as a broken leg or the death of a loved one, we should not be carrying pain around like a teddy bear. What I mean by that is that though we may get hurt and have pain, maybe it is not a good idea to be packing it around like a security blanket. Maybe you are into pain. Maybe pain does feel good to you. After all I have been through in my life so far, I have a high sensitivity to pain, but I still try to eliminate it as soon as possible. I do this to make room so that I can continue moving forward in a positive way, adding more positivity to my life and to those around me. In his book, The Motivation Manifesto, Brendan Burchard presents the 9 declarations to claim your personal power. These are: 1. We shall meet life with full presence and power. 2. We shall reclaim our agenda. 3. We shall defeat our demons. 4. We shall advance with abandon. 5. We shall practice joy and gratitude. 6. We shall not break our integrity. 7. We shall amplify love. 8. We shall inspire greatness. 9. We shall slow time. I truly believe that if we make these declarations in our lives, we will be able to reach our dreams and live the passionate life. I have read this list and its longer, more descriptive version, listened to podcasts about it, and even watched YouTube videos by Brendan Burchard in which he and others read the Declaration of Personal Power, which encompasses these 9 declarations. And now, if you look back in my episodes of Positive Vibes, I read the Declaration of Personal Power out of the Motivation Manifesto by Brendan Burchard. I bring this list to your attention as simply reading it stirs up motivation in me, the drive to be the drive to be a better person, and the drive to do the things that I need to do in order to reach my goals and dreams. I share that which has helped me. Just, okay, just a sec. Yeah. Um, connecting. Um, uh, so we got, yeah, we got a while here. We got like half hour. Um, let's see, where was that? Yeah, just a moment here. We got off my page. I share that which has helped me to progress, in the hopes that it will help you to progress as well. By progress and growth, I am by no means always referring to the physical realm, as I am talking about my mental and emotional states as well. For too long, I have lived a prisoned life, a prisoner of limitations that may have been there at one point in time, but are not there now, and exist only in my mind. I've lived under these limits for so long that I have stunted my own growth, not letting my true self show to the world is what it is truly capable of. This has stifled my full potential, not allowing me to reach for the stars that I so longingly dreamed of getting to when I was young. Granted, there may have been times when it felt like I was living the pleasant life, but it only felt pleasant at the moment. I was still caged. I still had pillows in the cage at the time. I was at a spot where I felt safe and comfortable, so I did not necessarily feel any need or have a desire to keep going. Looking back, I can say that during these times, it was as though I was at rest stops along the highway of life. My problem ultimately became that when I began moving again, I stayed in the slow lane because I had forced myself to believe that I could not handle any more than that. The truth is that I can handle more than just creeping along in the slow lane. At various times in my life, I have begun to speed up and had the intention of moving to a faster lane, yet I succumbed to the limits that I imagined that I imagined others were imposing on me, or my self-imposed limits. Now is the best time. The time is now. I have heard these things a lot. They bombard us all of the time in the media. Now is the time to come to our business and buy these products because they are having a sale. The time is now. If you have been wanting to get one of these really cool items, the time is now. Well, I finally made the decision that now, and it looks like my guest is here. Hi, Lily.
Hey, hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good, I'm just running away from the noise in my house.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can definitely hear you now.
How are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. It's very good to connect with you.
Yeah, I'm sorry I got in such a muddle. It's I'm going to blame lockdown, but also I'm ditzy as hell.
Oh, that's okay. We all have a lot of. There you are. There's your video.
There I am. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, there's so much going on in our lives, and it's like, especially locked down at home. It's like, there's always something going on in the house.
I know. Yeah, no, it's mad, and all the children are here, and my husband's not home, so anything could happen. But that is how I roll. It's better that the people know, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just going to come out. I think it might be better out here. You still hear me?
Yep. I can still hear you and I can still see you.
Awesome. I do lose it a bit as I go through my house, so I thought I'd come here.
Right on.
Let's turn that off.
And the way Lily and I got connected was I commented on one of on Gary V's posts for the community the other day, for the community to get on there and connect, and just. But Gary V said, yeah, we're going to do this old school AOL style. put your age, sex, and location, and then just put what what value you can add to the community and possibly what value you can get from the community. I put up there that I have a radio show and I'm looking for guests, and Lilly answered the call.
There you go. Magic. Thank you, Gary V.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I was thinking the other day, I've been on Gary V's podcast because the Gary V experience, because of my appointment back there in New York. He got that recorded on video, took the audio, put it on his podcast. For now I need to get Gary V on my podcast.
Absolutely. Yes. Make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Jason Momoa on mine at the moment.
Oh, right on, right on. Yeah, I put it on my I put a brief description on my original post I was going to put up on this my Facebook Live for this Zoom call. I put a brief description on there. I just said that you're an empowerment coach.
Yeah, well, I have lots of different names that I go under. I always, as soon as someone says, "What do you do?" I'm like, they're putting me in a box. I didn't want to be in a box. So yeah, currently I call myself a transformational confidence and spiritual purpose coach, because I think that kind of encapsulates it. But yeah, empowerment, mindset, confidence, spirituality, all of that, singing, all of that, it all goes in.
Right on, right on. And where are you located again?
I'm in the UK, and I'm about 10 minutes away from Stonehenge, if you've heard of Stonehenge.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Stonehenge.
Big landmark, yeah. So I'm about 10 minutes away from there, and about half an hour away from Southampton, which is where the Titanic went out from. So
okay, and yeah, it's oh, that's right, Salisbury, right?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, I thought I remembered reading that somewhere. On your profile or your website or whatever. Yeah, and so just wondering how how is the coaching now that there's like no in person? And
it's definitely shifted. I mean, my work actually was largely centered around my choir, so obviously that has all shut down because we're not allowed to be together. And like the worst thing was, they were like, singing is a definite no-no. It's like you're going to chuck COVID left, right, and center. So I was like, oh crap. So I had to get my choir online, which has been a bit of a challenge because it just doesn't work online. I realized that what a lot of people got from being in the group was actually being in the room together. So yeah, that's definitely been a challenge. But the good news was I'd already been building up to transitioning my work online anyway. I love coaching online. It allows me to connect with way more people. I can, speak to people wherever they are in the world, time differences allowing. And so I guess I was lucky in that I'd already been putting some of the steps in place even before COVID hit. So it just enabled me to transition. And funnily enough, just before the pandemic hit, I had started to say, I wish the world would just stop. Like, I need more time. I just want to give my online business a go. Like, because I was running around everywhere, because obviously with the choir, but we had live performances as well. So it was always go, go, go. And I've got 3 kids too, and all of that. So when it hit, I was like, oh, I feel like I did that, because I was asking for a break. And I managed to score it for the whole world. But yeah, no, it's different, but it's still good. And I have a podcast as well, and I absolutely love that. That's actually been what has saved me, I think, because I still get that connection. I love meeting people, I love chatting to people, and that's what that enables me to do. So yeah, it's different, but it still feels purposeful and still feels exciting to me. So I feel really lucky that I have that all in place.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I definitely concur with that, agree, whatever. The podcast is my podcast has definitely been a very good thing, you know, because it got me connecting with people like this here, connecting with people on the other side of the world
Yeah.
even. And um, it's like um, one of my first guests on my Just Plain Audio podcast was from Australia, and it's like, wow, you know, that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
And you know, like you're in the UK,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, and plus I've connected with people all around the US where I'm at, and you know, and now I'm at a radio station. You know, my podcast is now a radio show, so it's like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's great, and it's what people need. And it's not just that we get to connect with the guests, but there's a whole community that builds around the show as well.
Yeah.
And then you get conversations happening even offline. And I don't know if you're in this new Clubhouse app, but I'm in Clubhouse now and absolutely loving it, because it's like a live version of this. You know, I know this is live, but you know, a lot of my podcasts aren't live, they're pre-recorded. But then Clubhouse, you just get to go and hang in a room with whoever shows up, and some phenomenal conversations have been happening over there. And I'm super excited for what that means for the show, because I think it means when they let more people in, because it's a bit exclusive at the moment, but once they open it up to Android and more people can get in, I can really see how there'll be the podcast, and then, you know, join me for a live chat afterwards. Let's all go and hang out on Clubhouse, and you can actually have a proper conversation back and forth instead of posting and then waiting, or doing a voice note and then waiting. So yeah, I'm really excited about that as well.
Yeah, I have a couple coaches, a couple ladies that are coaches that I chat with, and they are actually, one is Brittany Microchuck. I was in her mastermind there for a while. And they have both talked about Clubhouse, and, you know, shown posted pictures of the Clubhouse room or whatever with all the different people in there. And it's like, you know, it does sound intriguing, you know, like a big chat room, you know.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, like you're saying, just commenting on a post and then having to wait for the reply or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. And do you know what? I've been in rooms on there. I've sat in rooms with billionaires talking about how they built their business. I've sat in conversations that are very spiritual with some, you know, super tapped in people that can access all kinds of things. And I've sat in, we've had conversations about bullying and trolling online. I've been in places where I've been able to coach people on the spot, to actually help people on the spot that need help in that moment. I've done intuitive coaching on there when people needed a bit of a pick me up. You know, that's one of the things that I do, and I can just jump on there and offer it, and the people that want it can come and get it, and plenty of other people just stay and listen, and then they get something from it as well. I've even sat in on they've started doing these Clubhouse musicals now, where they audition for the parts in Clubhouse, and then the entire show gets put on there as well. So I was in a room the other day just listening in because I'm nosy, with all these amazing, like, Broadway standard singers, and they were all doing these auditions and auditioning for the parts and stuff, which I just thought was phenomenal. Like, where else would you ever get a chance to sit in and listen to that? And I just thought it was brilliant. But the only thing is, it's a complete time suck. My husband keeps saying, "What are you doing with those headphones in?" And I'm like, "Shh, I'm listening." So I'm not engaging with anyone in my house. I'm just there with my headphones on, talking to strangers from around the world, but it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thought I've had since I've had since I heard people talking and seen things being posted about Clubhouse, is a flashback to, of course, I wasn't actually progressing, doing positive things, you know, all the time. I was just sitting there being, you know, I don't know, I had chronic depression and fatigue going on at the time when I lived at my apartment back, you know, 20 years ago or whatever. And I was in these chat rooms on MSN chat, and I would just be sitting there chatting with people all the time, you know, just generally. And it's like, you know, not moving in a positive direction, not moving really anywhere. And it was just ended up being a waste of my time. And it's like, and nowadays I'm actually doing stuff and going places, and moving in a positive direction. And it's like, I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around this whole clubhouse thing, because it's like, it seems like you know, I don't, I don't know. It seems like a very positive thing if you work it that way, but I don't.
I think it's like anything, isn't it? I think it could become unhealthy if you spend
Yeah,
your entire time. And like sometimes I go to bed and I see there's a room running with, I don't know, Grant Cardone in there, and then I wake up 8 hours later and Grant Cardone is still in there, and I'm like, does the man not sleep? He's in there for days. Just I don't know if he's got a team using the account where they do like a relay thing, but either that or the man just doesn't sleep. But I think it's like anything. It's in moderation, isn't it? And it's
yeah,
it's
exactly.
letting yourself use it for what you need it for, and not just getting sucked down every rabbit hole. So I tend to engage on there if I see somebody speaking that I know, either someone I know personally or someone that I've connected with online. Then I love that, because I love to go in and connect with them in that way. I feel like that's another way to meet people and get to know them better. So I think that's great. But I try to limit my time in there to an hour at a time. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you could lose days.
Yeah, definitely. I yeah, it's like well, actually, before you hopped on the call, I I just, because I have it worked out in my mind to where I've had it happen once or twice on my show here, where it's like my guests for Zoom calls, were late or didn't, just had something come up and weren't able to get on the call at all.
Yeah.
So I ended up reading out of the book I wrote here, my autobiography, and Live a Passionate Life and Quit Settling for Survival. And it's like I was just reading out of there. The section I was reading just had to do with what we were just talking about. How I read these stats, and like I wrote this book like, shoot, 4.5 years ago now, and or it was published 4.5 years ago, and I read these stats somewhere saying that 76 days, it was either 76 days a year or 76 days in our lifetime are used up. Oh, where is it? I just read it. Over the course of 1 year. Oh, I got curious and found online that the average American adult spends 5 hours of each day on their smartphone. Over the course of 1 year, that adds up to 76 days of a person's time being lost to their smartphone. 76 days. And I have no real need to spend 2.5 months of every year lost in cyberspace.
Yeah.
And but it's like, if it's, and like you were just saying, and like we were talking about, if it's being productive, then it's a totally different matter.
Yeah, I think it's just balance, isn't it? I mean, I think that
Yeah,
statistic for me would be even higher. I think I'm ridiculous with my phone, but I have to really make myself turn it off and put it down. I have a
yeah,
real addictive personality, and I notice this. It's the same. It's the same as getting in a cycle with eating bad food. If you eat a lot of sugar, which is another thing of mine, half the time you're eating it and it's not even enjoyable. And I find that with social media as well. There will be times where you're scrolling through it and you're just like, this is just not even enjoyable. I'm not reading anything that's inspiring me. This isn't fueling me in any way. And it's wasting my time, So yeah, I've tried to cultivate a healthier feed. I think now the people I follow on there are healthier people to follow. So if I do end up scrolling, I quite often end up reading really inspiring things and things that are going to fill me up spiritually, emotionally, even energetically. But yeah, it is like anything. You have to moderate your time, and you have to remember what's important. And you know, I don't think anything will ever trump being in a room with somebody, and I think that this past year has really driven that home. I think we've all realized how much we miss that. And the funny thing was, in the beginning, I was quite loving it. I quite loved the fact I didn't have to be in all these different places, and I quite enjoyed just being at home. But by now it's just like, nah, I'm done with that now. Can we just get back? Can we just get back to going on holiday and, you know, going down the pub or going out for dinner? Like I said to my husband yesterday, I can't remember the last time we went to the cinema to see a film, you know, and that used to be something you would just be able to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just never know. You just never know what life's going to serve up. It's a crazy ride, that's for sure.
Actually, that brings, you were just saying something about going to the cinema, and it brought to mind, I was on, you know, I run daily, and I was on my run the other day, running there in Pawnee Lake, and ran past Regal Cinemas, and you know, saw there. Of course, you know, I work in the restaurant I work at is right near there, in the same parking lot, and I've looked over there at the theater for quite a while now, a few months or a year or whatever, and seeing the just empty uh, showing listings on the posters they put up on the front wall of the theater,
Yeah.
and that's all empty. And it's like, I was running past there the other day in front of the building, and I'm like, man, this sucks. You know, I wonder what, you know, when this whole thing's gonna wrap up and maybe they'll be open again playing movies.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a massive mad dash, don't you? I just think, you know, all the cinemas will be sold out, the theatres will be sold out. I was just listening to the radio today, and here in the UK, they've put together a big show in our West End, which would be like Broadway. You know, if you're in New York, it's the same kind of thing. And they put on this socially distanced show, which they've recorded, and it's going out on the radio tonight. And then you can actually watch it next week. And all weekend they've been playing show tunes, and it's really brought people together, and it's really driven home how sad it is at the moment that you can't, well, go and support these amazingly talented people who's, for a lot of them, you know, their careers are short-lived anyway. You know, it's quite difficult to have a long career doing that, and they've been robbed of this last 12 months. And but what's been lovely is listening to the radio and hearing how the songs have been bringing people together. Like me and Sophia, who's just fallen asleep on me, we were dancing around to Rocky Horror Show earlier in the kitchen. I was teaching her the time walk. She's only 2, so she doesn't know that. She was looking at me like I'd lost my mind, but I was having fun, so that's all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I was just messing around with something on the screen. Yeah, it's like early on in the quarantine lockdown situation, I I was sitting at home and saw that my friends, my Instagram friends, Emily and Matt Madonia, who actually were just on my show a few weeks ago, and they did played the violin. Um, Actually, they played Here, There, and Everywhere by the Beatles on the dual violin. And early on in the lockdown quarantine thing, they were, well, and they still do it every now and again, but they were at home and just doing in their living room violin performances every day, or pretty much every day. Beatles tunes and other music, and it was just so awesome, and it helped. They were basically putting on these online performances every day, posting them to their YouTube channel. So it's like they're still there to go see, and it's I was able to connect with that and then have them on my show, and actually they played their violins on my show, and it's like connecting with people like that, and this everything that's happening now would not be happening. The good things that are happening at the moment would not be happening if everything was not in place.
Yeah, I definitely think it leveled the playing field a little bit. I think people have really learned to appreciate the things that really matter. Things like enjoying some live music, you know, that's so valuable compared to, I don't know, just playing on a computer game or something like that. You know, things that we thought were important, like, and all the, you know, all the expensive clothes and the makeup. Like, I can't remember the last time I put proper makeup on. I do put makeup on a little bit sometimes for my podcast if it's a live show, but not always. But actually, yeah, during the first lockdown last year, because it was summer as well, my husband and I started doing these gigs on a Friday night because he's a singer as well. And so we set our PA up in the back garden. And then every Friday at 6 o'clock, I think it was, we would go live. And we built up quite an audience. And what was lovely was after a while, people started donating money to us for doing it, because they knew that, you know, specifically for my husband, for whom, I mean, that's his job and he's just not been able to do it. And they were like, you know, we want to show our appreciation. And they started just donating money each week, and, like, you know, doing song requests and then chucking us some money for doing the songs that they'd requested. And it started to get silly. We started to do like themes. So one week we showed up dressed in disco gear. So we, you know, had our glittery disco outfits on and full face of makeup. And actually on the final day, we had 2 people socially distanced in our garden that came. It was so weird because they were sat in opposite corners of the garden and we were down the other end of the garden. But they were, you know, friends of ours anyway. And so we had a bit of a surprise there, but that was lovely as well. And that, again, it created a sense of community. And I think it's not just people gathering together and enjoying the same thing, because I think that can happen, you know, for whatever it is, even if it's a knitting club, you know, you just find what you love and then you go and find a group of people. But I think music is so powerful for bringing people together, but also it evokes memories and emotions. So quite often when you sing a song or when you hear a song, there'll be someone that goes, oh my God, like that's the song that we had at our first wedding, you know, we did that for our first dance, or that's the song that was playing when I first got my job, or, like, you know, they have happy memories of it. So I think music is a really powerful way to sometimes transcend the sadness that a pandemic can bring. Or, like, for some people it's not even a pandemic, you know, some people are living in that state all their lives. It's just a continual loop that they're in. And I think music is one of the gifts we've been given that can transport us back to a happier memory, and as well as bringing us together with other people. So it's a huge part of the work that I do. And I just think I've realized even more now, like, truly what a gift it is. So, you know, hooray for that.
Yeah, right on, right on. Yeah, it's like, well, I was just thinking as you were saying that, music bring up happy memories. Yeah, it's like every time I hear an Ozzy Osbourne tune now, it brings to mind the time I was at Ozfest here at White River Amphitheater, near me here in the U.S. And I had gotten, it was the year they did Free Fest, and all the tickets were free, and so I went online, got a ticket for my ex-wife and I. Well, she was my wife at the time, but we went, and we had 2 free tickets to sit on the grass. So we were sitting up on the grass, and this lady comes, and she had tickets for all these teen girls that were with her, and that they were sat all over different places in the stands. She's like, well, we're not going to sit separate, so we're just not going to sit there. You guys want a pair of tickets? We got a pair of tickets. We sat in the stands, and we were all standing at the beginning waiting for Ozzy Osbourne to get up on the stage and start singing, and his band to start playing, and all of a sudden he comes walking down the stairs right next to where we were sitting.
No way.
Yeah, I could have, if I would have reached my arm out, I could have patted him on the shoulder as he walked past.
Wow.
And if I'd have known it was him, and if I'd have thought of it.
Yeah.
Of course, But anyway, yeah, and it's just like I hear any Aussie song and that comes to mind, and it's like, wow, you but it's like, yeah, I definitely agree with that. You hear music, it brings up something from your past, like maybe the song is playing, or a shared musical memory between you and another person,
Yeah.
possibly, and it brings that person to mind. It's like, hey, that's cool.
Yeah. No, it's powerful. It's what I do. You know, I started out as a professional singer and as a singing teacher. And then my work started to transition, and now I find that music quite often helps people if they're feeling stuck in their emotions. Music will help to unstick that, you know, give them the right song and it all comes gushing out. And that sounds like something that you might not want, but actually release is so good because it allows us to carry on. Then, you know, we can keep taking a step forward. And yeah, I kind of cultivated this gift of being able to lead people to certain songs that were either meaningful to them because they liked the song or just because something in the content was poignant for them. And this is how my work started, because I started to realize that especially for people who feel like they can't speak up, you know, if they can sing it though, then it's the same as speaking up, and they can actually then let go of some of that anxiety that sometimes keeps us stuck. So yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of it. I could talk about it for hours.
Yeah.
I do love it.
Yeah, I was actually, and that brings something else to mind. You were just saying that you were just talking about how, you know, it helps, how release is so good, and it helps, you know, maybe release stuff that helps, that is keeping you stuck. And I was, that section of my book I just read before you hopped on the call was something in there about, you know, how I got to the point where I was just down and, you know, feeling down and out anyway. And I, you know, just had this awakening or what have you, maybe spiritual awakening to the fact that I was putting, I was bringing too much negativity, putting bad stuff into my body, into my life, into my mind, my soul. And it was just, you know, churning out negativity in me. And I flipped the switch and, you know, started, you know, getting rid of that and putting good stuff into my body and becoming more positive. Hence, you know, I mean, the name of my show now is Positive Vibes. You know,
Yeah.
Positivity and gratitude. That's what it's all about for me nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a similar thing for me. I feel like I've had multiple spiritual awakenings as I've gone through my life, but I had a humdinger of one in 2018, and that was just off the back of my own experience with anxiety. So I was diagnosed with anxiety in 2013 after my second child was born. And I think I was living with it for about a year before I even realized that that's what it was. You know, I was having panic attacks, but it didn't look the way that you might see a panic attack on a TV show or on a film. You know, I wasn't crying and breathing into a paper bag. It was, for me, like outbursts of rage, and just, you know, I would just lose my temper at the tiniest little thing. And then yeah, I had a bit of a spiritual awakening in 2018 where I literally got told, it felt like I got told that I'm here for people that are waking up to their purpose, and that I'm supposed to intuitively guide them to do the work that they're supposed to do. And being sassy like I am, I was like, oh yeah, so then why can I sing then? Like, why am I a singer? And then whoever was talking to me was like, duh, that's how you talk to the humans, right? You can't go around banging a bell saying that you're going to wake them up to spiritual purpose, because the people you're here to help won't get that, right? The point of the matter is they're not particularly spiritual. They're just regular Joes going about their life, but singing is something they love to do. So they're attracted to you because they like the singing. And I realized that was really true, because I've had my choir for 15 years, but I realized that people were joining the choir because they wanted to sing, but they were staying because something in their soul shifted when they did that. So I actually coined the phrase, they come for the singing and they stay for the soul shifts, because that was the only way I could describe it to people. It's like, you think you're coming to sing, but that isn't why you're going to stay. Like, you can go and sing in any old choir. There's something magic. And I kept saying, there's something magical about this choir. I can't even take the credit for it. It's almost like it's got a whole energy of its own. And I feel like that's now transferred to my podcast as well. the podcast also has a mind of its own and an energy all of its own, and it's just magic. You know, the people that it brings in, the people that it helps me as much as it helps anybody else. And you know, anytime somebody writes in and goes, oh, thank you for what you do, I'm like, no, I do this for myself. Like, I'm getting as much out of this as anyone that's listening. So that's what purpose is. I think you know, when you're truly on purpose, you're filling up yourself as well as filling up the people that benefit from it. And yeah, I mean, there's a million stories like it, you know, of people that have come on my show and shared, and I think it's just a magical thing. And you know, I really love to spread the message that even if you're in a place of struggle right now, if it feels hard, or if it feels dark or whatever, there's a purpose for you as well. I don't believe anyone's here by accident. I believe everybody has the potential to tap into that. And in my experience, your purpose is usually something that you already do anyway. You know, it's something, it's who you are. It's just in most cases we haven't given it that much credit. We just don't think it's that special. And so it's my job to tell everyone that, you know, you really are special, and you know, you really can find a happier place, even if where you're at right now isn't so happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's just so awesome. You can, you know, about the, I love your little motto there about come to the scene and stay for the soul. What was that?
Soul shifts, yeah,
Yeah,
the
soul
soul
shift.
shift. Yeah,
Right
yeah.
on.
I think
Yeah,
people think I'm crazy. Like when they used to phone up, they're like, oh, I'm interested in joining your choir. And I'm like, okay, like, why do you want to come? Well, I've always wanted to sing. And I'm like, that's not why you're coming. Like, you think that's why you're coming, but you're about to wake up to your entire purpose, just to let you know. They'd be like, what? But, you know, the ones crazy enough to stay would find that that was the case. And, you know, the ones that weren't quite ready for that level of craziness yet were never gonna like enjoy the choir anyway, because I am that level of crazy most days. So like I say, it's better they know now.
just let them know from the get-go. This is what you're getting into.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I believe that we're tethered at the soul to the people that we're here to help. So actually it's like, it's almost like soul recognition. It's how I felt the first time I saw my husband. I couldn't explain it, but it was almost like, oh, there you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like my soul knew who he was. And I feel the same way about my podcast guests. I feel the same way about everyone that listens to my show. And I feel the same way about everyone in my choir. It's like soul recognition. They're just coming home. And it's like, oh, there you are. Yeah. And then the ones that aren't like that are just like, what is this thing? Like, I don't get it.
Right on, right on. All right. Well, yeah, I was just looking at the clock and it's getting to be about that time. I better start wrapping up so that the next guys have enough time to come into the studio and get set up.
Awesome.
But I just want to, yeah, it's been amazing connecting with you and Lily, and um, you know, maybe we could do this again sometime, or you know, maybe I can be a guest on your podcast.
I was going to say, I would love it. I'd love you to come and talk about your book. I caught the title and was like, yeah, that belongs on the podcast for sure. So I've got your details, so we'll definitely hook that up as well.
Right on. Yeah, and we're connected on Instagram, so yeah, we're connected now.
Fab.
But yeah, and I just like to thank you, Gary V, for putting up your post and connecting us in the first place.
Yeah, Gary, we both want you on our shows, so
yeah,
please let's make that happen.
yeah. Let's definitely make that happen. Yeah, maybe we can all three be connected on a Zoom call, recorded it.
I was going to say, like a Gary V tag team. Can I say that? Is that acceptable? I don't know how that sounded, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He might be up for it. Who knows?
I know what you're saying. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you to all of my viewers and listeners. And I just want to close out by saying the usual: stay kind, optimistic, and grateful, and have a phenomenal day and a phenomenal week. And I shall see you next time, here on Positive Vibes on BT Radio Universal. Thank you, and have a great day. And you have a phenomenal day over there, Lily, or
Thank
phenomenal
you.
night as it is.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Bye bye.